Hey Physicists, what's the crack? So what we're doing today is some waves questions because Sarah asked about them. So this one is when we've got loudspeakers again, and what it wants us to do now is figure out that the path difference, we want to prove that the path difference to point B, so we've got a sound wave coming out from P to B, and we've got a sound wave coming out from Q to B, and we want to prove that the path difference of those two waves is 0.1 meters. Okay, so this one is more to do with math, like triangles or I've forgotten the word for it. What do you call it when you do triangles in math? Trigonometry. Yes, thank you. This one is more like trigonometry, right? So what we do here is that we're given the distance from O to A. So O to A is 2.25 meters. So I know that side of my triangle. It says from A to B is 0.95. So I know this side of my triangle is 0.95. And the next thing it tells me is that the two loudspeakers are separated by 0.3. So from O to P is going to be 0.3 over 2, and from O to Q is going to be 0.3 over 2, okay? So I'm trying to prove what the path difference is. So I'm just going to sketch the two different pictures here. So if I have P to point B, I have B to point A, and point A goes to point 0, okay? So what I want to know is prove this path difference, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to model this distance from P to B. So again, I'm just going to move this up there to get that one to be 2.25. So I can actually find out what P to B is. So we're just going to move this line up here to be 2.25. So I know that line is 2.25. A to this point now, I know I've made shorter, right? Before it was 0.95, but it's not 0.95 anymore because I've taken away this little part. And this little part is the distance between O to P, which was 0.3 over 2. So what I actually have is a triangle with a base 2.25 and a height of 0.95 minus 0.3 over 2. And I want to find out what my hypotenuse is. Okay, so what I remember is a squared equals b squared plus c squared. So to find out what that hypotenuse is, I have to take the square root of 2.25 squared, and I have to add that to 0.95, take away 0.3 over 2 all squared. When we do that math, we get a number of 2.39. Okay, so that's from my P to B. Okay, so now I want to figure out from Q to B. Okay, so if I look at Q to B now, I want to figure out what is the distance of that line. Okay, so I look here, what I have is my Q. I'm trying to find the distance out to my line B. I know up to point A here is 0.95. And I need to find out then, what is this next little bit of distance here? From point A down to that middle line where my Q is, okay? Because again, A is going to be matching up with my O. So again, my A matched up with my O. So I want to figure out what this distance is. That's the distance between Q and O. It's the same distance between this point and A. Distance between Q and O is 0.3 over 2. So that distance on there is 0.3 over 2. Again, I want to find out what the distance this line is. I know the base is 2.25. So to find out the distance of that line, what I do again is my square root of 2.25 squared plus 0.95 plus 0.3 over 2 all squared. And I'm going to get a final answer there of 2.50. So what I do now to prove the path difference, I want to see what difference these two waves traveled. So when I take away these two numbers from each other, I'm going to get a final answer of 0.11 meters. Which I know is equal to 0.1 meters if I was to write my answer to 1 decimal place. Okay? So this one was just looking at your triangles and your trigonometry to find out this size and the bases. Okay? So either you can copy it out the way I did here, or you could just make your triangle here to see that that gap there was equal to my 0.3 over 2, which is why I had to add the 0.3 over 2 to the 0.95, the base of 2.25. So it's a free mark question, so that's grand. Follow me for more physics content like this.